Hey everyone, we are doing our third episode with Anna Kelly this morning. How you doing, Anna?
I am fantastic, Michael.
Good, good, good. So hey, I've been wanting to ask you this question. So this is going to be residential real estate. Let's think single family homes only.
Mhm.
And I've been thinking about this for about 2 weeks, and I'd love your input. I'm looking at my market of Fresno, California, which I've looked at for 20 years, and I'm seeing things today that I've never seen. One is there's a month's supply of inventory, and it's been a month for the last 4 months, right? So it came down to a month's supply. It's either been 0.9 or 1 for 4 months. That's crazy. Back in the '08 nonsense or '07, it was 2.2 or 2.4 months. It's the lowest I saw. So I've been asking myself, why? What is happening? So I have my thoughts. What is your market like? Do you have really low inventory as well? And what's going on the supply side in your market?
Supply is significantly lower than demand right now, significantly.
Mhm.
Houses under 300,000 are gone second day listed. I
Wow.
mean, there are so many buyers looking for houses while rates are so low, and
Mhm.
there's not any houses. I have a cousin who's been looking for a house. I think they've made 3 offers above asking, and the last one, there were over 25 buyers and actual offers, and they were like 7 out of 25, and they were, maybe 25, 30 grand over asking.
Wow.
So there is not a lot of supply, and houses just fly off the market quickly. Lots of
Yeah.
demand.
All right. So same thing. So this is interesting. So I've been looking at this, and I was struggling because it's different than anything I've seen, which always causes me to go, "Hey, what's the underlying problem?" And what I have seen in my market, and be curious if it's yours as well, is it really looks like the move up buyer is non-existent, right? Because normally, right, you have first-time buyers, they live there for 5 to 10 years, they build up equity, they get they're 30 when they move in, and then they're 40, and then they go, hey, it's time to I'm now a VP or a director. I want to go get the bigger house or the newer house or move to a golf course, whatever it is. That transaction, that step up, I am not seeing in my market, right? We still have all the first time buyers, and they're probably more than normal, but we're not seeing the supply that would come on from that move up buyer, right? The move up buyer is like, hey, whoa, I'm not going anywhere. No, I don't want anybody touching my stuff. I don't know what my job looks like. I'm not going to increase my monthly expenses. That's
Yeah.
what I am seeing. And I've just come to that realization the last week or so. Is that possible in your market as well?
I'm seeing a little bit of that, and I think for 2 things. Now, I just recently sold a house,
Mm-hmm.
and I listed, I think, in early September, and I closed a week ago on my
Okay.
house, and my house was like I sold for 429.9, so it's like above that 300,000 range, not quite half a million
But not
range,
jumbo.
not jumbo. And
Okay.
so, but here's the thing, there's not a lot of them on the market in that 3 to 500,000 range
Mm.
because home building and supply chain disruption has caused costs of new
Ah.
homes to go up. So I was just talking to my contractor the other day, and they have a very good friend who's building a house. The builder called him and said, I'm sorry, but the same house we're building, it's going to be $100,000 more than what we told you because
Oh
the
my God.
cost of lumber, of 2x4s, of drywall, it's tripled here in Pennsylvania. And so building costs, because of the supply chain disruption due to COVID,
Wow.
have gone up significantly. And so it's much more expensive to buy a house. And we're seeing a lot of home buyers basically pause new inventory. So we had home builders here
Interesting.
that were building, and they'd build spec homes, and the spec home would be gone before they build the next one, and
Hmm.
gone before they build the next one.
For
And
sure.
now they're not they've got lots, and they're not building on those lots, and I think it's because they can't at the price point that the comps bear. So when a house like mine hits the market, there's no new builders building in that range. It's
Mm.
expensive. It's cheaper to buy an already existing home that's a few years old, and those are not lasting long. But our days on market average has been like 6 days for under $300,000 homes,
Six.
15 days
max?
16
Oh,
days for
16.
3 to 5.
Oh, got it.
And
Okay.
it took my house, I had a bunch of showings, several offers, but it was like 15 or 16 days to finally get it under contract in that price point.
Hmm.
There's a lot of houses on the market that are between like 6 and 900,000 and they're sitting.
So
So
that's
it's like,
jumbo for your market.
that's jumbo. So I think
Ah,
people are going, I'm not going to buy the really expensive house right now. I don't need it. Let's stay put. And they're refinancing their existing mortgages in that, $300,000 to $500,000 range, and they're not moving up to the jumbo range.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, wow. So that's interesting because I know obviously I read the public announcements for their like Pulte Homes and Lennar. Pulte Homes is doing exactly what you mentioned your friend's builder is doing, is they've dramatically slowed down development, so much so that they had to reduce their Q4 revenue targets because of the supply disruption, right? They could not pass on the rise in prices, right? So it's interesting. So basically new home construction is slowing and the ones that are coming out at least in my market, right? A new home in my market, I think the lowest I see is like 360 to 380 and my median is like 330. So they're pulling everything up. That just means the existing homes below that number, it just pulls it higher, right?
It does, yeah, but I think there's still, with comps and appraisers, there is still a hesitancy to go up too much on
Yeah.
a little bit older homes, where typically your builder would come in, at least in my area, and if a neighborhood that's 10 years old, a house went for 425, the new build's going to be like, their base model is going to be at like 400, and they're hoping you spend like 475, maybe 50 grand more for brand new than older established. But sometimes the brand new are getting smaller and smaller
Yeah.
at that same price point, and people want an established neighborhood that has lots of trees, and so they'll pay a little more for those older homes, and the incentives on the newer ones you can get in cheap, but you just don't get quite as much. So our older homes still keep ticking up in value pretty close to what the new builds are.
Interesting.
And that's definitely a trend that we're seeing.
So I've never looked into this. So if you don't know, totally okay. But have you what is the supply strain really? It's lumber. California had those wildfires and all of that, and all of that. So is there talk about that getting better as we go forward, or are they looking at these supply constraints for another year? Do you have any idea?
Everybody's saying they should come down. I mean, once jobs are back open and we've got trucking crossing straight lines,
Right.
everything should open back up.
Okay.
But there's people that I know people that are holding off on building, holding off on moving, specifically because of the cost of everything.
Makes sense.
There's also huge supply chain disruption in appliances, Michael.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had for apartments, more people are at home using the appliances that they probably never use when they work.
Yeah.
And like burners going out, fridges, washers and dryers. We sometimes can't get something for 2 months. Wow. And it's like somebody doesn't, so we have, and our appliance repair people are 2 weeks out before they can even come look at something. Yeah. Because appliances, for whatever reason, there's a major supply chain disruption.
Yeah, that was actually called
from out of the country as well.
Yeah, that was actually called out by Best Buy on Tuesday. I think they talked about their appliance sales going up, and yeah, they're having backlogs, and like half their inventory is 30 days out. They just can't get them.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
So when your new home comes with appliances and it obviously needs lumber, like everything in that house, the prices are going up. And kitchen cabinets that these builders use, they're super backlogged. I know because I'm building a kitchen. I don't have a kitchen because it's like 6 weeks out just to get the cabinets delivered.
Wow.
That normally are semi-custom, fairly stocked, and everything's back ordered.
So when does that move up buyer? Because again, this market is going to be supply constrained until the move up buyer feels confident. So in your example, I think it was that 400 to 600 where they're going to go to jumbo. When do they finally go, wow, let's get that bigger house? Is it next year? But what does that mean? What does that mean when they can? Is that when when they feel better and the job's done, we're back to consuming? So it's 2022, or I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I do think it's a little bit longer. I mean,
Oh,
as
wow.
long as rates stay low, and the Fed has said basically they're going to keep rates low till we're at 2% inflation. So probably at least another 2 years or so, right?
Hmm.
So while rates stay super low, we know we've got a little bit of time to capitalize on those low rates, where before it was like we better hurry up and
Yeah.
move and refi and take advantage. Now it's like, okay, we're going to have rates a little bit. So
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of what are their jobs in the area in which they live? Are they in jobs like manufacturing where they were deemed essential and they're still working? And if they feel like, man, we've already gone through 2 shutdowns, we're essential, my job is secure,
Mm,
they're going to step up and buy that next house because
right.
rates are too low to, you can get a much nicer home. My trade up from a 425 home to a 550 home, my mortgage payment was very almost no difference,
Wow.
like almost none. And my rate then was like 3.75 and now I'm at 2.6. So I mean,
Jeez.
it's like it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Okay, sell one, the next one's that nicer step up, and I got a great deal, but the interest rate said, hey, I got to do it. Then it was just a matter of, am I going to get the house when there were 5 offers in a day?
Right.
And there's not a lot of supply. So you look, you get told no. And I think people are like, forget it. I'm just staying put. Cause that's what we did until we found the right one and got the deal. But it's all about jobs. Do they feel secure in their jobs? Are they now able to work from home? Are they as busy, or is their company talking about layoffs? If their company's talking about layoffs and there's a consumable product that people have slowed down buying,
Mhm.
they're probably nervous they're going to be laid off and they're probably not going to spend as much money.
Yeah, it
They're
makes
probably
perfect
not
sense.
going to move.
Yeah, and obviously I want to talk about this because again, we're both investors and we both started in residential. And 2020 has been a tough year for a first-time residential landlord, right? It's just because all the competition, right? Owner occupants are bidding stuff up, as we've already talked about.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that 2021 brings options, right? Because right now the inventory is so low that owner occupants just dominate, right? 20 offers in your example earlier.
Yeah.
My hope is at least some of the owner occupants who are now 2 years delayed come out and go, I'm going to step up, right? My job is secure. I'm in manufacturing, for example.
Yeah.
I'm going to move up. So I'm hopeful that inventory in my market goes from a ridiculously low 1 month to frankly over 2 months sometime next year. Because it fundamentally can't stay this low. If it does, prices are going to explode higher.
Right. Right. And the key as an investor for first time homes is you've got to start really getting creative and targeting sellers off market before they're
Totally
listed.
agree.
Because right now, if you want to flip a house and you're looking on the MLS, you're
Mm,
competing against home buyers that are willing to take a dump and go, I can probably fix that up for X number of
ex-
dollars because they don't know.
Exactly.
You got flippers, you got wholesalers, you got home buyers, you got, turnkey landlords, and they're
Yeah.
all looking for that same, single house. So the only
In a
way to
small
really,
little pond.
yeah, the only way to really get a great deal is find it off market
Totally
or
agree.
go out, expand your market to where it's a little further rural where there's not as much competition.
Yeah, very cool. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving and thanks for being a part of the channel.
Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.